Hello, good evening, welcome to Easy 8. My name's Danny, says it right down there at the bottom of the screen. I hope you've all been well. It's certainly warming up here in the studio. The weather has been fine and my health has improved tenfold, which is great. If you're new here to Easy 8, this isn't a tutorial show or anything like that at all. This is just somewhere where you can come and make some friends with these guys over here in the live chat who are waiting there for me already. Bring some models along to get them painted, just like a painting club that's online, right? That's kind of what it's all about. So if you're looking for a tutorial, there's loads of sort of stuff out there already that you can go and do, and I highly recommend that you go and look for those guys. For the next 2 hours, I'm going to be painting my own models, probably making it really bad, and making a bit of a hash of the live stream because that's what I do and I'm not very good, really. Sorry about that. So hopefully you can come along, give me some motivation, give me some inspiration, and just give me some company. That would be great. You don't have to watch it right now. Of course, you can watch it back on the replay, like a lot of our people do. And we're up to 96 subscribers. 96 is just astonishing. Thank you so much for all of those people that have been sharing and and subscribing. It's great to have you on board. I couldn't be happier with the state of Easy 8 at the moment. It's absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much for all of that. We've got some people in the live chat. We've got Mike. Ooh, am I going to be the first one in the chat today? Looks like you were, bro. Thanks for coming along, man. Nice to see you again. Jeff, that's my dad. Oi, oi, oi. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for coming along. It's a warm one today, and it's the bank holiday weekend, so I'm expecting it to be a quiet show, which is absolutely fine. But like I say, people have been watching the show on the replay. And a few episodes ago, if you go back into Easy 8 on YouTube, look at all the videos that have been uploaded recently. There's an episode about 3 or 4 episodes ago. It's hit like 150 views, where the average is somewhere between 30 to 50. What did I do then? I started this guy. This is the robot that I'm going to be painting tonight and hopefully finishing over the next few days. I started painting him on that episode. 150 views. Like, was painting orange in that day? Crazy. Thanks for all the views. Absolutely loving all the attention that I'm getting lately. It's absolutely wonderful. If you're working on something today, if you're painting a project, if you're if you're putting something together or planning a big build or whatever it is, I genuinely would love to know about it. So come and tell me all about it. Pop it over there in the live chat with these crazy cats, or you can pop it down there in the comment section if you want. I read everything, and I genuinely am interested. You can also catch us over on Facebook as well, because we've got the Facebook link just here. It's not actually a link that bit there. There's a link down there with all the links to all of our platforms, so you can catch me over there if you want to. We're also on Instagram, and we're also on Discord, where you can come and find me at the end of the show and join me in the Easy 8 after 8 in the Easy 8 after 8 Easy 8. There's a Discord channel. You should come along and see it and chat and just join in the video. There goes the live stream. Told you, not very good, am I? The Easy 8 after party. That's what I was trying to say. I stammer and stutter and get my words all mixed up. Mike says, everybody knows that 40k is the way to get numbers on YouTube. Well, do you know what? Like I said before, this is my 41st year being alive and on this planet, and I think the 41 kind of, factors into the 41st millennium quite well, so I think I should focus a little bit more on my 40k models than my other projects just for this year, which is why I've been painting this fella. Anyway, I'm gonna, I've got quite a few things that I want to do with him today, so I'm gonna head straight over to the workbench and, get this guy painted. Remember, if you are new here and you like what we do, please consider sharing, subscribing, etc., because every little bit really does push this channel a really long way. And I'm sure that with more subscribers, we're maybe getting known a bit more out there. I don't really claim to know how the YouTube algorithm works, but that's how it must work, right? It must work like that. The more you get, the more you get, right? Right. Anyway, let's get away from here and go to the workbench. Here we go. Cool, so this is the guy that I've been working on lately. Now, I've not had a chance to do anything on him this week. I've been not like super busy at work, but just doing some really weird hours lately, and I've just not had the time to come up into the studio. I've been working on a few other projects where I've been able to do it downstairs. It's also just really hot up here in the studio, so I don't really come up here an awful lot while it's absolutely baking. But I've been working on some terrain tiles. You remember a few episodes ago, not even a few episodes ago, I did like a special on it, like a little product review of terrain tiles from Animalia Originals. And I've been building those guys up. So I can do that downstairs and not have to come up into the studio. So all my time that I've been doing like hobby stuff hasn't been on the painting side. He's looking really good though. He's looking really bright, really like super orange. The quality difference between his brother that I painted a little while ago to this one here is really quite stark. And I'm wondering if that is the weathered effect, the damage effect on this guy that's kind of making it that way. So today, basically what I'm going to be doing is getting the little transfer decals on him. He's got a couple on him, a couple on the back there, and a couple on the front, just minimal, nothing too heavy. And I'm going to be doing the same with him today, getting a quick layer of varnish on there to protect those decals, and then I'm going to get stuck straight into the weathering. What I was supposed to do during this last week, if you remember at the end of last week, was paint the insides of the hands, because inside his hands, I kind of made them all like metal. I don't know if you can see inside these hands very well. You can see how they're all metal in there, and he's got like little metal bits in between all the joints on his fingers and stuff. Is it going to focus? Come on in. There, you can see there's like little metal bits in there. And if I bring this one up, you can see that they look a little bit blander. So, I don't want to do that today. I just want to get on and do the weathering, because that's what I've been wanting to do for the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, just going to crack on with it. And maybe, if it's not too hot up here at the end of the show on the Easy 8 after party, I will crack on with that later on. So you can come and join me and watch that if you like. Now, you can probably hear in the background my little compressor going. I did a repair on it. Thanks, Mike, for the PTFE tape, the tape that you use for, like, you know, filling in screw threads. There wasn't an awful lot on there, so I used it all, and it still wasn't the best repair ever, but it is better. Thank you very much. I ended up having to like I've got like a piece of woolen thread, and actually tied it around the base and was able to the base of the screw thread, and I was able to kind of push the PTFE tape into the leak, I suppose, the lack of a better word. So it's better, but it was a messy job, because compressing air creates moisture inside that the air tank. It just kind of a very light surface corrosion, so it just meant that it was leaking orangey water everywhere. No matter how much I tried to tip it out, I couldn't stop it from coming out all over the sofa. So yeah, it will constantly just try to fill up in the background. Anyway, let's get some decals on this guy. I have got a little decal sheet here that come out of one of my other boxes. There's more than enough here to go around for loads and loads of stuff. If I compare what I've got on this guy, he's got a little number 3 here, so I want him to have a different number on there. I might make this guy like number 7, perhaps. 7 and 3 makes 10. Sounds nice and metric, doesn't it? It's got also like a little one of these little warning symbols, or it looks like a hazard symbol, I suppose, because it's in a yellow triangle. So here in the UK, those are often hazard symbols, but they're little like alien glyphs, you know, like a language that we don't know, which is fine. That's cool. So that'll go there as well. I'll try and pick a different looking one to what I've got on this one. On the back, he's got like a little alien sort of glyph symbol here, which there's a whole selection of them here. Is there any more? Yeah, there's loads all over here. So I'm just going to try and pick something that looks a little bit different. And I'm also going to take one of these little bits down the side here, where it actually says Mars, and then it says like M40 or M37. So it's like or M35, M37, M40. So all the different sort of periods within the Warhammer 40k universe, I reckon. I don't like it saying Mars, because these guys are supposed to be from Rise, or a different world. So I just like it to look like it, you know, it reads something but isn't something. I could also get these little strips down here as well and put them on there. And you can see that goes up here, look. So, yeah. Anyway, that's what I need to do. So, I've got my little craft knife. Bring my light in a little bit more. There we go. Lovely. Jeff says, just come down from the workshop's a tad warm up there. Yeah, we're having a bit of a heat wave here in the UK, and while it's not stonkers hot for a lot of people, it's we're not used to it. So 23.5 degrees it says in my living room right now, which is a little bit much for me. Any hotter and I think I'll go crazy. So let's hope that it doesn't. I am going to just cut out a couple of these features here. Just drop them in some water, and hopefully be able to get them on to my little robot nice and quickly. Get that layer of varnish on there, because I'm starting to get to the point now where he's taking a little bit on the long side. It's not been too long. I've only been doing a couple of hours at a time, because I measure my time in weeks because of the show. It feels like it's been a really long time, but actually it's only a few hours here and there, so I have gone through it rather speedily, which is cool. But I kind of want him done now. Just checking the symbol on his chest, making sure that I don't repeat that symbol. I want a different one on there. I'll just go for this one here. There we go, kind of poke that guy out. Lovely. What number shall I make him? 1 to 9, including 0. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it 8, because, you know, easy 8, right? There we go. Lovely. I cannot pick that up. You can go over here. And then I've got one more to do, which I can't remember what it is. Oh, yeah. He's got like a little alien symbol thing on his back, hasn't he? Don't know if you can see what those symbols are here on the camera. It's so small and squiggly. But I think if I go for... I quite like that one there. Looks like a little N shape. Some sort of calligraphy N. Can you see that? Is it going to come into... No, it's really difficult to pick up on the camera. They're really quite nice glyphs though. I'm calling them glyphs, I mean they're letters, alphabet-y things. But, you know, they're not like standard letters that I know. Right, so I've got those. Get a little bit of water over here. Mike says, with a difficult repair, it becomes PTSD tape. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Like, the repair should have been quite simple, I feel. But the actual process of taking the whole compressor tank apart was way lengthier than what it ever needed to be. Just because of the way that all the pipes and wires come out of it, it wasn't a very simple task. So by the times I'd kind of screwed it back together, I was like, do you know what, I'm not even bothered. It's not doing it all the time, which is great. Yeah. So, let's get the first one on. I'm going to do the yellow one here, because it's the easiest one to see. And it's nice and big, and it's a good one to start with. So what I've got, just got a little mixing dish here. I'm just going to get that first one. Can I even pick it up? There we go. Just give it a little soak in there. We'll get the next one ready as well. There's my number 8. So my number 8 can go in there too. Right, well, happy Friday everybody. Cup of tea on this lovely hot day. Cheers. That's a perfect brew. Yum yum. Just giving those a moment in the water, just to kind of soak. You know the deal with decals. They just need to you know, soak for a minute. Now, something I haven't thought about is the two little chemicals that I use, Microsol and Microset. These are about, in the UK, they're about £1 each. You can pick them up on Amazon from Microscale Industries. They are absolutely fantastic chemicals. They're not really harsh chemicals. One of them does smell very strongly of cheap salt and vinegar crisps. But they basically help soften the transfers down, and they help it kind of melt onto the surface a little bit, stop them from being so raised when you varnish them and paint them, and really kind of tucks them away and hides them. Really good if you're doing it on deformed shapes, like Space Marine shoulder pads is one of the most obvious ones that comes to mind. But also if you're putting them over things like Zimmerit on you know, German tanks and things like that, really helps them to conform to the odd surfaces and the shapes that are on the surfaces, because it melts them down and they kind of conform to those shapes, those patterns better. They melt them. It does make them weak, so you've got to be very careful. Anyway, Microsol. I like to put a little dab of this onto the area that it's going to go on. I'm going to use one of my nice little brushes here. All I'm going to do is just dip my brush into there. It's not a particularly harsh chemical that you have to worry about your brushes, but I would clean them afterwards. I did spill half of my micro set some time ago, so I've got like these will last you like a lifetime. But yeah, I spilt it everywhere, so I'm gonna get not as much out of that bottle. Pick up that cat hair, because what is a show without a cat hair? All I'm doing is I'm just kind of soaking that area, so that when the decal goes on there, it's got something underneath it that will help sort of melt it down and adhere to. Mike says, I could never remember which one to do first, Microset or Microsoft, so I ended up writing numbers on the bottles. Do you know, like, I think you should do set as the base like I've just done, and then when you put the transfer on, you should then put Sol, and then when that's dried, you put another layer of set on the top, but I just put them this way because Sol then set, and I remember set to set it into place. But I don't think it really matters that much. In fact, you could probably get away with just using one. I'm just going to hold him here, so I can get... I've got my little brush, I've got my little tweezers. Here we go. I'm going to hold him like this. Which way is it going to go on? From here, get a bit of water on my brush as well, really helps. Lovely. Just going to make sure that he's in the right location in comparison to the other one. Right, okay, I know exactly where I've got to line him up. He actually looks like he's in the perfect position. I really don't want to mess around with that too much at all. Just going to make sure that it's just nice and level. When I say level, I mean at the bottom of that triangle, I want it to be sort of level with this straight line down here, and it's only me that's ever going to notice how much. That looks lovely. That yellow really shows up on that orange background, and I really like that. Less is more. Don't want to do too many on there. So that is done. What I'm going to do, just wash any chemical out of my brush, just dry the brush off, because there might be a big blob of water on there, or even underneath the transfer. So I'm just going to use the bristles ever so gently just to pat down any little bubbles. And if there is a bubble on there, it probably has a liquid underneath it, so the liquid might just kind of come out. With the dry bristle, that'll just get absorbed. But there's every chance that he could start moving around, so I don't want to be too rough. And too rough is a very, very light touch here. So even lighter than that. Lovely. Now moving on to my number 8. Now, the 8 might just be a couple of loops, but there is a fatter bottom to it, so I want to make sure that I get the right upside down side. I'll put the little lid, that solution just there then. My light is getting in the way of my brush. Move away, please. Lovely. Yeah, that's better. can't turn the decal around. Will you behave? That was quite aggressive, that wasn't it? I'm having a fine motor issue today. Does not want to come off. I'm going to put it this way, it means I can come in from a different angle with my tweezers. The reason I'm coming in with a different angle with the tweezers is because there's a bigger space on this side of the decal to hold. Bash my microphone. There we go. Again, for reference, just make sure he's in the right place. Cool. He needs to move over a little bit. Just put a big dollop of water on the bristles on the brush there, just to help him move around a little bit. Now, the reason I put this number so far over here is because I've left this space here for a future army symbol, which you don't get in any of the transfer sheets anymore. It's a real letdown from GW. If you're listening, GW, do better. That's cool. I like him being there. So I have to go to a special maker of transfer sheets, and I will get them. They're just a little bit on the pricey side. There. Lovely. Just lift this light up a little bit. It's getting in my way. That's better. And you too, sir. Cool. So, let's get the next ones in there. Moving on to the back now. That's my little alien N-shape symbol thingy. It'll go on his back. And this is the one that says Mars. I have an itchy ear. That's better. Some comments going in. Yeah, that's the right way. You set first. Just got fed up with having to reread the instructions each time. Yeah. I just put soul down. Whatever. Jeff says, did you get any further with your red weed on the bases? Yeah, do you know what? I'll show you that in a minute. Yes, I have. Interesting results. Mike says, damn, talking of bases, I meant to order some of the stuff that you recommended for snow, because that has the crushed glass in it. Can you remind me of the name again? I'll order it at Chrysel. Yeah, that's it. They do their own glue as well. Yeah, snow would be a really interesting thing to work with. I just don't do anything with snow. So, yeah, I probably won't be doing any snow bases. I believe that Kez, who normally joins us online, has done like a whole army for Battletech in snow, and even has like snow battle mat and terrain and things. You know, because it's nice to break that sort of stuff up, right? So, on the back here, we've got the sort of weird glyph lettering just here. So that's where this symbol needs to go. Brush is rolling away again. Here we go. Let's... I need you to, like, behave here. We'll get a couple of pots of paint. That'll work, won't it? Yeah, look at that. Lovely. Right, a bit of microsol. Just like that. And from here, the symbol can just be. Doesn't want to budge. I think I might just had like the corner of that decal with the tweezers there. There we are. That looks really cool. I think he just needs to go down a little bit lower. Fractionally. Like just there. He's gone really well. That 8 looks like he's gone on well, but maybe it's a little bit out of line. That's better. It's cool. I like it. It looks like calligraphy. Okay. And now the last one, which is just going to go between these two dots there. So it's like an operation. Excellent. They've all gone on really well. Famous last words though, so take your time, take your time. That's gone on really well. Fantastic. Right, let's pour all that away. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure I've absorbed any of the moisture that's left in those areas. Yes, yes, yes. A little bit out of shot today, aren't I? Probably just realign my camera a little bit. Let's where are we? That's a bit better. Okay, now I'm going to hit it with just a couple more drops of Microsol, just to help melt the surfaces down a little. And all I've got to do is just kind of dab it on gentle. Not going crazy with that amount. It just helps thin the material down. And you could just keep doing this over and over and over. Eventually, I suppose it would dissolve. There we go. Back to that first one again. It evaporates pretty quickly. Oops. Dropped my brush. That's how light I was going, was barely holding the brush. Lovely. Wash my brush out, and I'm going to go over to the other chemical now, just to set it in one last go. Over there. This is the one that smells like cheap fish and cheap salt and vinegar crisps or fish and chips, or something. It's quite a strong odour. And this is just going to set it in place. But they still can be quite delicate. So it's always good to get like a little layer of varnish on them as well. Seals them in. Gone a bit goopy here on the paintwork because I had like a big drip, I think, that kind of ran down from the other side. That's affected the paintwork, but in a minute I'm going to do some like weathering over that, so it won't be a massive issue. Although that is a bit of a shame, but at least I know for future. There's also a really big mark of silver right under his arm, which I wonder if you can see if I bring him here in this position. I wonder if you can see it. It is right in front of my bristles here, just there. Really annoying. Just there. I totally missed it. So again, I can use some weathering to hide that. Just another dab of this. There we go. And I'm happy with that. Right, let's call that. We are done. Wash my brush out. Don't want that chemical sitting in the bristles. Lovely. And yeah, now it's time to give him a bit of a varnish. While I'm mixing up my airbrush or getting that all ready, it should just dry, evaporate, whatever, nice and easily. Let's get rid of these little bits of paper stuff. Chuck those in the bin. Wonderful. Right. Compressor starts already. Yeah, gonna need to sort that out properly, I think. There's a matte varnish. Another thing you can do if you've got like a really sort of bobbly surface to put decals on, like Zimmer it or something that's kind of equally as uneven, a layer of gloss of varnish over top of it so it makes it smoother. That will really help your decals going on, that will. Let's mix up some varnish. No need to shake it because it's varnish, it's got no pigment. That'll do. And I'll have a couple of drops, not of retarder. No, don't want that. I want airflow. Airflow improver. Put a couple of drops in there. I like to put a little bit of thinner in with my varnish as well because it's such a thick stuff. There we go. And let's mix that up. Look at me using my little mixy trays now. Always been mixing in the hopper. And I think that this is just better. Lovely. Don't need an awful lot. He's already been varnished several times now, so I'll just move that over there. Get a little sheet paper in there because I don't like spraying directly on my tabletop. And mostly I'm just going to try and focus on the areas where those decals are. A little bit of airflow just to dry them if there's still a little bit of moisture on there, or anything else. That one has actually moved. That's frustrating. Must have been knocked by my fingers or something. Can I move it, or is he already set? I have to do some heavy weathering up there to hide the fact that that's moved. Look how awkward that looks now. Right up there. Can I get him to move? Can I? That has set in place. I wonder, a little bit of microsol perhaps. Microsol can be good at softening decals. So it might be that I can agitate it enough to move it. This is where it all goes wrong. Micro set has probably set it in place. It's working. Phew. Yeah, look at that. It's moving. Behave. It's starting to crease now, but it looks better than it did a minute ago. I'll weather over that, that'll look fine. Right, okay. That's a bit of a shame, but do you know what? It won't be the worst thing in the world. Right, let's get some airflow on it. Dry it out. Happy with the ones on the front? Yes, I am. Airflow test, lovely. all I do now is I basically just give them a quick dusting, like a quick blasting, and then just hit it with air, and that just helps that varnish, that quick layer, just dry rapidly and seal it in. And what the two chemicals I just used should do is to help eliminate the shiny patches of where the decals are going to be. And the more of the chemical you put down, the less you'll see of it in the end. And a good couple of layers of varnish over the top should just hide it as well. Back to the front. In the background, you might be able to hear my partner calling my cats in from outside. They've been indoors all day because they don't want to go out in the direct sun, but they're all like lethargic. It's just started cooling down outside, and now the cats have gone for a wander. My microphone's really sensitive, so you might be able to pick that up in the background. If you're wondering what it is, she's shouting for my cat Dax. And yes, my cat is named Dax after Star Trek. My partner only found out that it was named after Star Trek after we'd named him. Went down really well. Now, the transfer glossy papery bit around that symbol has all but disappeared, so it's just, you know, a couple of layers of matte varnish over the top. Really goes a long way. That yellow symbol had quite a frosting around it. It looks like a little frosted tissue paper or something that's like around the outside of the symbol, and it's just the paper that the decals are printed on, or whatever sort of substance it is. If they've gone on nice and flat with that chemical, varnishing over the top just hides them. I think we're pretty much there, aren't we? While I've got a little bit left over in the airbrush. The airbrush is running really smoothly. Use what I've got left over to give them a quick all over coat, because why not, right? And we are done. That's spent. That is great. Let's give it a bit dry. There we go. Lovely. Just going to purge out the airbrush a second. Stop generating all that extra heat in here, making all that noise. That's all I'm going to be doing with him today. Some more comments going in. Jeff says, yeah, I had the lot as well, and just use the sparkly one on top. The others, oh right, referring to the Chrysler snow stuff. Yeah. Was that the substance that bled the colours? Because you had a snow effect where you spray, you put it on top of all of the flock, the green flock that you use for grass, and even though you sealed it, the colour bled through and you had green snow. Was that the same substance? Mike says, I thought Dax was Luke's snow speeder gunner in Empire Strikes Back. Maybe it was Dax. I don't remember Star Wars very well. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. Lightsabers are cool. Empire Strikes Back was good, but actually, not that great a film. Set of films. Return of the Jedi, what was that all about? Disappointing. It just ends so abruptly. It's like, oh yeah, we've blown up the Death Star that we've been, we killed the bad guys that we've been chasing for 3 films. There's a party, you get a medal, off you go, done. It's just a bit disappointing. Chewbacca doesn't get one. He doesn't get one. You gotta watch it now, aren't you? You only need to watch the end, that little ceremony. Just takes a minute for it to purge the airbrush. Just want to make sure there's a good flow going through there, because that varnish will really dry quite tough inside the airbrush paint chamber, and it's a pain to clean. Almost there. There we go. Lovely. Alright, let's get rid of that. So, our little decals are on. It's changed them already, hasn't it? That's a bit of a shame, but I'm not so fussed about it. It's going to be okay in the end. Jeff says, Jarvis grass bled through into the snow. Pain in the expletive. Jarvis, not Chrysel. You must have got the Chrysel stuff after the problems you had with Jarvis. The Jarvis grass looked amazing, but the colour just bled through it, if I remember right. Right, let's move on with ourselves. So I've got a couple of colours set aside for this. Really, really simple effect. Charred brown from Vallejo, and then silver, chainmail silver from Vallejo also. Most of this is going to be done with charred brown. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around, basically I call it like low lighting. So like you normally would highlighting, you find all those little edges on all the panels, and the features are on the robot. And then rather than like highlighting them and making them brighter colours, I use this as a low light, but it looks like the edges have been worn down into rust. So like bare metal into rust, and then there's an extra layer in some areas go over the silver in the same sort of fashion, and it makes it look like the rust constantly gets worn away down to bare metal. So like that can look really cool as well. I'm going to make sure that I tone it back a little bit. This does look really cool. It's just a little bit on the busy side. It's a little bit on the busy side, and I want to tone it back a little bit. This panel here is about as far as I'd want to go with the effect, but as you can see on some of the other surfaces, I went a bit bonkers. Looks really good though. I'm going to try and tone it back a little bit. Now, while the whole project has been pretty quick, this is a part of the project that could essentially take some time because, well, it's just a lengthy process, isn't it? So while I would like it done today, it's not going to be. It's definitely going to take me longer. Just looking around for a little bit of sponge, a little bit of foam. I've got some big bits here. This stuff here, but the bubbles in it, if you like, they're just too big. It's like a bit of cheap craft foam that I bought from a shop. But there's some smaller bits of foam, and I don't know what I've done with it. It's here somewhere. That'll be really good for it. Anyway, just going to hit this on the Wazomatic. Gotta have a Wazomatic. Because people complain if you don't. Apparently it's a part of the show. I haven't used this brown for a while, so it's really good to give it a mix up. And I've been told that with the new microphone, the Wazomatic can be really heard. Anyway, there we go. Bit of a shake. So I'm just going to bring this in. Palette just here. Was it? What I might do is just add just a touch of retarder to that, just a little bit, just to stop it drying so fast, because I want to maximise my time with it basically. Now the retarded medium is like a gel, and a little bit goes a really long way, and it's really quite easy to just put a big splooge in the palette, and it'll take forever to dry. But I could even add like a bit more paint to that later, and it will you know, mix in. my number 1 here. This will be fine for now, I think. Let's get that down to a fine point. Don't think I'm going to need to thin that down so much. A little bit of a test on the side of the palette. No, that's actually a little bit on the heavy side. Let's put a little bit of flow improver in there as well. Flow improver has become my thinner of choice. I tend to use it more often than just regular thinner now. So, I think I'm just going to start here on the top of this plate. Someone had to. And all I'm going to do is just, do you know what, I think I'm even going to start on the middle one here just because it's got an easier defined section. So what I'll do there is I'll just work my way along. I don't have to do the whole line, the whole surface. In fact, less is more, remember. And just using the side of the tip of the bristles. Sometimes I can do like slightly larger splodges, other times I can do smaller ones and keep it really really random. Sometimes I can do like little patches, come down a little bit, move away from the edge, you know, bring it in, make it look like the damage is kind of worn around, make it look like it's, you know, a real object. Charred brown is such a good colour for like rusts and things, I love it. Now I could do like really bright orangey rusts and stuff, but obviously that's going to get lost on an orange model. So I just stick with the darker rusts and, you know, the brushed steel through it. I just bash my microphone again. It's like I've moved it recently. Got a bit heavy there, but that's all right. A little bit of variation. Also, just trying to change the direction of the pattern that I'm. If I'm dabbing, sometimes I'm just doing like lines as well. Just trying to like break it up and make it not look all the same. And while it's a lengthy process, it's a really satisfying one as well, because by the time you finish it, it looks really cool. Going back to the, you know, looking at the start again, and then realizing that actually some of it looks a little too delicate. Go back in and just be a bit heavier with it. Actually, probably thinned it just a little bit too much, so in some areas it looks a little bit washy. And if anything, you want this to be quite a solid colour where you apply it. Cool, well that's one panel down. I've almost finished my gas hands truck, says Jeff. but I have questions as I don't know the rules yet. Armour. Can you have explosive reactive armour? There isn't explosive armour on it, but you can have extra armour on it. You can model it on there and make rules for it yourself. I don't think that there is explosive armour. There are explosive rams. They're joyous. They're fun. My quiet painting voice. You can tell I'm concentrating. It often comes out when I'm concentrating. Nice and simple. Really starts to tone the model down. That really sort of bright orange effect that it's got starts to peter out a little bit. Sure that I'm in shot because I have an awful habit today of not being in shot. We're a few minutes away from having a break actually, so what I might do is I might just finish off this little panel here. Just let some air in because it's a little bit stuffy in here at the moment. I've had a fan in for about an hour before the show started, just kind of trying to get some air circulation here with the skylight windows open, and made a massive difference is this room can get really uncomfortable. So underneath the arm here, they're like the two sections, like the front section and the back section have like a line where they join up, but it's like they don't hermetically seal. And what I haven't done on the other model is done like rusty wear marks along those edges, because they probably don't get an awful lot of wear being so close and out of the way. So I'm going to stay with that method. And what I like about this process is it kind of starts a story, doesn't it? These bits get wear, but not often enough for it to always be shiny metal that they, erode, corrode, whatever. Just making sure that I get any areas where the paintwork looks a little bit dodgy, because I can just hide them under weathering. That is one of the best things about weathering. Didn't like that bit you painted earlier on? Gone. It's been weathered. Trying to not keep it so isolated to the edges. I want to come away a little bit in some places, but I also want to leave that sort of work up to, you know, the sponge, if you will. When I come in with a sponge in a bit, it will do a lot of that heavier work for me. Almost finished this first panel, coming along quite well, quite quickly. Light shining on it a bit weird, I can't really see. Really sorry about hitting my microphone all the time. A little bit that sticks out of it, just bashing my headphones. So I've still got to kind of do around the arm socket, if you will, but otherwise that's looking like a pretty good start. Just going back over the initial bits and just making them look a little bit heavier, because I think I'm going a little bit delicate. So I need to build on it a little bit. As I get a bit of practice by going around, I'm getting a bit more loosey-goosey, and you know, looks a little bit better, looks a bit more real. Brush is getting a bit clogged up, a bit caked up there. The paint retarder does that. Makes it a little bit more jellified. Looks good though. Looks really good. It's a really nice technique and I really enjoy doing it. Anyway, let's move away from here for a second, because it's pretty much time for a quick break. Can you drag chains to stop anyone getting close behind you? Again, I don't remember that being a particular weapon set that you could use the rules of another tool or weapon. So you get things like caltrops, but you deposit those on the ground. I'm trying to think if there's anything like that. Do you know what? I'm going to give you the book. I'll lend you the book and have a good old look through it, and I'll bookmark all those bits for you so that you can just refer to them nice and quickly and have a good old look through them. Even if you can't use them, I do like the idea of it though. It does sound like a pretty cool thing. Chains, man. There's loads of new weapons and things in the new book. Anyway, just going to let that set for a second. I'm going to go get some fresh air because it's a little bit stuffy in here now. Going to go see if the cats are in. And in the meantime, you should probably go and have a break too. Whatever it is that you're going to go and do, you should definitely go change your paint water. Go do it. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Welcome back. Managed to use the time during the intermission there to find myself some bits of decent foam. We'll have a look at those in just a moment. Mike's had to leave us during the intermission there. Right, me done for the night. See you all next week, hopefully. Thanks for coming along, Mike. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. Have a good week, sir. Mike actually invited me to his house during the week, over the last few days. Me and Kez, who normally joins in a live chat over here, to come and have a go at Bolt Action, which I've never played before, and I was really excited to have a go. And he spent a lot of time designing like a mission and a map and the forces to go for it, to go with it. And for anyone who plays Bolt Action, we played 1,000 points. I played the Americans, or the Allies, and Kez played the Germans. And it was a really, really tooth and nail fight the whole way through. It looked like I started with the upper hand, and then Kez took a little bit of a foothold, and then I took it back, and then it was backwards and forwards, and eventually Kez handed my butt to me. It was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely brilliant. So, Mike, if you watch this little bit back later on, thank you so much for putting that game on for us. We had a great time. We were talking about it for days afterwards. Well, still talking about it now. So, yeah, cheers, man. It was really great. And your table was epic, and your models were all painted wonderfully as well. My favourite was the M10 tank destroyer, which I kept survived all the way to the end, but I could have done a little bit more throughout. Stafford's made it. Hola! That was like the most British way of saying hola ever. Like, who says that? Like, I'm so happy that's on the internet forever. Hola. Sorry for any Spanish people out there, or anyone who knows anyone Spanish. I've just ruined the language for you. Hola. Oh my god. Well, anyway, I'm going to head back over to the workbench. That's just so stupid. Please, if you like what I do and like the languages that I destroy, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it despite my behaviour. Really sorry. Anyway, here we go. Hola. Oh my god. I don't speak Spanish, just in case you wondered. So, I've got a couple of bits of foam here. This is like from an old, from a watch case or something. Bit of cat fur on it, why not? And this comes from, I think, one of those little blister packs from Flames of War with the metal models in there. And I was like, ooh, foam, you don't get this so often. So this is the perfect stuff, really. So I've just torn the corner off, and I've got it in my Tacax clamps. If you want to know what Tacax clamps are, you have to go back a few episodes, I'm afraid. What I'm going to do is just dip that into my little bit of brown paint over here, and I'm going to just pat most of that off. I'm just going to give it a bit of a go, even though I'm not ready for this part yet. Really, I want to do all the outlines first. Just want to see how much better this foam is to the old foam that I was using, which was just huge and unnecessary. I think this will probably give me some better effects. So I'm going to go to this little panel here, which I've pretty much finished, doing all the edge bits on there. And I've patted off most of the brown paint on there. So if I just kind of repeat dab, I get like a little worn patch. And if I just sort of dabbed a little bit all over that whole panel, it looks like it's got a little bit of weathering all over it. And I can go a little bit heavier if I want to. Test it on the back of my hand. Realise there's no big splodgy bits on there that I would essentially be painting that panel with. I can do a little bit over the symbols, over the decals, to make it look like that they've been painted on, that they're wearing away too. Could probably go in a little bit heavier. Hola! Ridiculous, isn't it? Now do your best German. Now my German language is okay, but my German viewers tell me that my accent is rubbish. I have been practicing. I can get around in Germany, alright. So, a little bit heavier on the paint there. And if I just like work on one area, it makes it, rather than just looking like I just put a big pile of paint on it, it actually makes it look like it's been worn in that particular area, and it looks really cool. And just like I suspected, it is starting to tone that orange down, because it was looking a little bit hefty earlier, wasn't it? Looking a little bit bright. There we go, that's looking pretty good. So what I'm starting to get now is I'm starting to naturally get this, pointing my paintbrush, starting to get this little area here That's just where I'm getting the foam in, really. And it's looking like there's a big rusty patch. So I could have like lots of different pieces of foam that are torn off, all different sorts of shapes and angles and pointy bits and stuff. So I could like choose between them all if I wanted to get them into different areas. But I'm still learning this sort of process. If I just keep on dabbing this one area here, a couple of larger splodges just gone in there, pat those down flat and dry, add a little bit of texture, that's fine, rust has texture, that looks really good, like that. So I'm just going to let that dry now. I'm going to come up around underneath here, make sure that I haven't got any huge splodges on there, lovely, like that. That big silver streak underneath, which I don't know if the sponge is going to do a good enough job hiding it. So that silver streak, I'll probably just paint it out with some of this rust colour. Staff, Jeff wants to show you off his new toy that he's making. Oops, just throw him down, Danny, why not? So, Staff and I played a couple of games of Water Tanker last night. Again, Staff was the Germans, I was the Americans. I took a Hellcat, I like the Hellcat, against a Panther, and I shot it and I shot it and I shot it, and it just, rounds were just bouncing off. If anything was going to take out a Panther, it was the Hellcat, but not that game. And I was allied with the Soviets. There was a T-34 with me. They managed to take your Panther out, but oh my goodness. Your Panther was impervious to my Hellcat rounds. Just trying to get some of this rust over that symbol there, make it look not so bright. That's looking cool. Looks a little heavy by the brush just in the top up there. Like that heavy line. Because I haven't met all the way into the corner on top of that armour plate. I don't know if you can really see in there very well. See in the top? Gonna come into focus. Here we go. So on the rear plate, on his left shoulder, is a really heavy sort of rust line painted into the corner, but it doesn't quite go all the way to the corner, and it looks a little artificial. So I'm going to go and neaten it up in a minute. While I've got the sponge here, right, it will go over the shoulder plate here. I can always do the brush bit in a second. I think the paint's a little bit dry in the palette now to really be coming off on the sponge all that effectively. But it is fun. I do enjoy this section, this part. Right, let's get some more paint in that palette. There we go. Come back in with that brush. I am doing this quite quickly, quicker than I expected to be as well, which is nice. Just repair that little bit in there that I didn't like so much. That's cool. So I was going to go over that little silver patch down here, didn't I? Hide that in case anyone sees it. And the brown blends away with the orange really well, so it doesn't look too obvious, too distracting. Got a itchy finger. There you go. My dad doesn't want to show you his truck, Stafford. I'm so sorry. You'll have to wait, I suppose. Right, here we go. Let's do this shoulder. Now, if I look at the other guy for reference to see where I've kind of concentrated damage or weather on his shoulder. It looks like it's on the bottom end there. My idea being that his hands would kind of be out, facing out and forwards, because he's going to be smashing things all the time, so he'd be taking a lot of wear in that sort of direction. Excuse me. But I suppose he'd be taking a bit of damage to the front as well if he's always facing the enemy and, you know, things are kind of shooting at him or smashing off of his front, whatever. So, in the corners here. So what I'm doing here, because the line is so big and bold and obvious, is I'm literally just drawing the line along the corner edge and then adding random sort of strokes or pattern to it, and that kind of gives it its random looking shapes. Patina, if you want to call it that. Struggling with light levels today. Let me bring these lights in over this direction a bit more, that'd be better. Staff says, I don't have the ice night to paint 15mm tanks. I blame Captain Morgan. Yes, there was a lot of rum last night over that game of Water Tanker. So, yeah. Yeah, I had a bit of a headache this morning. I don't think it was because of the rum. I only had well, you certainly had more than I did. But, I think it's just because it was hot. I was up late. Build up a little bit in the corner of the shoulder pad here, and then a little bit along this edge here. Do like the front of him. That's probably quite heavy there. Didn't realise how heavy I was going. Oh, let's make that the heaviest it's going to be. Just have some, like, I don't know, directional strokes, and it just changes everything. If you draw a line, it looks a little wrong, a little out of place, and then just add some little strokes in, and it just changes everything. Makes it look like you know what you're doing. I like to take away the corners a little bit, because in my head, corners are going to receive more wear. So this corner here, where you can see, oh, it's nice and squared off orangey. If I just come in and do this now, just makes it look, I don't know, better in my mind. And what I'll do is I'll come in with that sponge, pop that brush over there. Quite a bit of that paint on that sponge this time. Just take a little bit of that off. Damn pirate, says Jeff. Yeah, it was a good evening. It was a good evening. We haven't played war games for a little while, so it was nice to do it. I've undercoated the Sturmtiger and the Brumbar and Dunkel Gelby, but do not have the motivation to paint more tracks. Yeah, I know, man. I've got 30 odd tanks over here that need their tracks painting, and all the wheels and the tyres and stuff, because I'm a glutton for punishment. looks good. Looks really good. I think that the fibres on this sponge, if you can believe it, are probably a little bit too close together for me being able to get really... I say to get really good looking effects. Good looking effects for what I expect to see. I mean, I kind of had this image in my head of me just going like plop and it looking absolutely perfect, but I don't know. Still is a very effective way of getting some rust effects on there. Back to that brush again then. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add some nice big scratches at the bottom here. So if I just like that, just a random mountain scene. Something like that. That looks pretty terrific in my mind. Doesn't want to focus today, does it? That's cool. I like it. And then I'll just go over that lightly with a little bit of silver later on. Okay, so middle, left pec, shoulder, left back, shoulder blade. Did you turn the gun? Right, well, what on to next? What on to next? I think I'm going to do this front piece here. So, here we go. So while we're talking about tanks, I know there's only a few of you online right now, but there may be some of you who are watching this back on the replay. Some of you who live maybe a bit more local. We are considering another Easy 8 road trip to a local event, not an event, but to a local destination. We are considering going to the Cobbaton Combat Collection, which I think just started off as a guy who, I'm looking for my little model clamp, but I don't know what I've done with it. A guy who started off with a collection of cool military memorabilia. Don't know what I've done with that. And it has since turned into like a bit of a museum, collection now. And while it's not going to be as big or as super duper exciting as the Bovington Tank Museum, it certainly is going to be interesting to go and see all the stuff that's there. Now, I think I went there as a kid many, many, many years ago, but I don't remember it barely at all. I remember sitting in an ejector seat, but I don't know if that was actually the Cobbaton Combat Collection. It might have been like an air show. Anyway, it's not that far away from where I live, and there's a few Easy 8 viewers who are interested in going. So if you are interested in going to the Cobbaton Combat Collection, you live locally, or maybe you live a bit further afield and you want to go, well, let's get talking about it. And there's staff going, Cobbaton! So yes, I haven't even looked into it, like when it's open. I think it is just normal tourist times. I don't know if there is a price to get in. I assume that there will be, but I can't see it being super expensive. And I'm sure it'll be a really interesting day out to go and have a look at some really nice historical pieces. So yeah, if you're interested, let us know. Cobbaton Combat Collection. Because I did the schedule for today's show really, really late, I didn't have the time to put a link to Cobbaton in the description of this video, but I promise in the next 24 hours or however long it is that I'm allowed to edit this video, I will. So yes, staff are saying it's open this week for half term. Unfortunately, I have work commitments. Feel free to go without me, of course. think is looking pretty super right now. Some nice rusty edges there. What is that paint? I think there we go. I stopped adding the thinner end or the medium. It wasn't really providing me with any additional benefit. Headset's falling off. There we go. That's better. That's that little bit there done. I might move on to the other side here. So, make sure I'm in shot again. Start this little corner here. While we're on the subject of the Cobbaton Combat Collection and going out as another Easy 8 outing, there were murmurings within the community the other day about going back to the Tank Museum. I mean, I feel like we've been there like a million times, but it is really fun and exciting, and we do have like annual tickets, and I think that's kind of where the murmurings have been, starting from. Is we've got annual tickets so we can get in for free. So it's just about having the time off to go and taking the transport. So yeah, if you're interested in going to the Tank Museum again, start that conversation again as well. Why not? I think we got our tickets in September, so we've got up until then to make the most out of those tickets. I think it's just fun to go and just stand in front of the tanks and go, ooh, tanks. How many times can you go before it becomes boring? I personally won't get bored of it. I love going and seeing all the tanks and stuff there, and all the other vehicles as well. And of course, any money that you spend as well does go towards the preservation of the collection at the museum. So it is a worthy cause, and I do believe in protecting history and so on and so forth. Brush is getting a little bit claggy there, just add a bit of water in there just to loosen up the paint that's in the bristles. Little bit in his arm socket, armpit, whatever you'd want to call it, I suppose. Robots have armpits. Sounds like a good name for a sci-fi novel. Do robots have armpits? Some more comments going in. I've only been 3 times and it's still free till September. Just saying, absolutely, yeah. Let's go. Let's go to Millitrack. Millitrack or Millitrack? Millitrack. Now I want a picture of my head in the Sturm Tiger barrel. Yeah, do you know what? Let's go. Google it. Do you know what? I will Google Millitrack. I really want to go to Armageddon, which is somewhere in the Midlands, which is a paintball centre where you get to drive around the tank, but the tank fires giant paintball things. That sounds like a brilliant day out. Would you like to be the gunner of a tank or the driver of a tank? I think I'd like to be the driver. I think. I think. Oh, gone a bit heavy up there. Let's just wash that brush out. I think I might bring that into view. You can see at the top, just here, a little bit heavy. Don't know if I'm keen on that, so I'm just gonna use my clean brush here just to sort of pick that up a little bit and move that around. Yeah, that's better. Good choice. Good choice. Kind of smear it around as a grime effect there. That worked well. Cool. Good. Yep. Good choice. How are your projects going this evening? If you are working on something this evening, do let me know. I'm genuinely interested. I'd love to see pictures of your stuff. If you have got pictures that you want to take pictures of your projects, you can pop them on over at Facebook. You can stick them as an attachment, like a comment to this week's schedule. That is the way to get your photos on Facebook. Or you can drop them over at Easy8 on Discord, the Easy8 After Party. There's loads of photos and stuff over there. Go and check it out. I would love to see your stuff. Again, I'm going in a bit heavy there. I think I'm starting to rush it a little bit. Just calm down a little bit, shall we? Nice and slowly. No need to go crazy. That's better. Cool, that's looking pretty good. Alright, to the back plate then. To the back plate. I think that when I get this robot done, I'll have 2 robots and a data smith. I'll have a whole squad of Skitari, or 2. No, it's just one squad. One squad of Skitari Rangers. And I've also got the little leader dude as well. The Marshal, and I think that that's enough to have a full force, a small force, but still a pretty good one, which would be great. So if anyone wants to play me a game, when I get the time, obviously, I'll play you a game with my not my Astra. I keep calling it Astra Militarum lately, with my Adeptus Mechanicus. Astra Militarum are the Imperial Guard. Rebranded that for some reason. It begins with A. That's why. That's why I keep calling them Astra Militarum. They are not the Astra Militarum. What does everybody think so far? Can you see it well enough today? Do you like it? Just doing those rusty edges at the moment. Once I got these little panels done and the shoulder done here, I'm going to go back in with the sponge, put in some more like rust patches. I think I'm going a bit heavy on the edges over here in some places. really good. I just need to feather that edge in there a little bit, I think. Looks a little bit heavy. Maybe I can sort that out with the sponge in a minute. Okay, this is going to be a tricky spot here underneath that gun. I'll do the very best I can. Draw that line in as much as possible, and then dab and drag the brush across it to kind of add in a sort of pattern effect. Have you seen the vid from Militrack? Jeff says, I like the heavy weathering. Ah, cool. Thank you very much. I really like the heavy weathering, especially on the other one. It's just a little bit too much in some places. For example, like here on the shoulder and here on this plate here. It's just a little bit too busy. It's just a little bit too much going on. Focus. Here we go. While it's a really cool effect, when you sort of zoom out a little bit, it's all just a very, very busy thing going on. So yeah, I'm just trying to dial it back a little bit from there. Not that I wasn't happy with the effect. Yeah, a bit tricky to get in there, and I've also just ran out of paint as well. So let's get some more in the palette. Got a little bit on the shoulder there, but that's going to add to the effect later. No harm, no foul. I wonder what it's like if I add just a drop of thinner to the colour that's in my palette here. So I've been obviously watering it down with a drop from my paint water. But if I add a bit of thinner, I wonder if it works differently. Add a bit more paint to it because I've put quite a bit of thinner there. My thinner bottle drops in quite large drops of thinner. So yeah, you always get a bit more than you bargain for. Just mix that all together. I wonder how different that's going to behave. Then it goes a bit further. Have quite the amount of brown. Okay. That troublesome underarm area. The paint seems to be going a little bit too far now because it's a little bit thin down too much. There seems to be no middle ground here. Okay, to that shoulder. Try not to load my brush up too much because I think that's going to be quite problematic. Get a line on there. Yeah, I think that's too much thinner, even though I've added in more paint. So I'm going to add even more paint to it. So what does anyone on Easy 8 have house rules for a Sturm Tiger for Water Tanker? No, we were discussing this the other day. There are no rules for the Sturm Tiger, and a couple of other tanks as well. So the Pershing. No, the Pershing is in there. Is the Pershing in there? The Super Pershing that isn't in there. The heavier version. So yeah, if anyone's got any rules for them, I'd love to hear them, because, well, we like the cool and the exotic stuff, right? The Sturm Tiger definitely being cool and exotic for sure. Yeah, let us know if you've got any house rules. No, because no one's that silly. Stafford really is, yeah. It's a cool little model, though. Right, where was I? Shoulder. That seems to be a better consistency of paint. On the underside of that shoulder there, where I went in a little bit heavy with the wetter paint. But, doesn't look so good. Just neaten that up a little bit. That's better. Oh, this has taken all my concentration, as you can tell by the fact I'm not saying anything. So having magnetised turrets that makes a Tiger turret on a Panzer III make it look cartoony. Jeff says, I think if you get hit from a Sturm Tiger, you should remove your tank. You absolutely should, and the other tanks around it. Stafford was saying just yesterday that there was an account of a Sturm Tiger shooting at a Sherman, missing and landing somewhere in the middle of the squadron of Shermans, and igniting them all. All 5 of them were taken out by a shell that landed nearby. So yeah, Sturm Tiger means business. So yeah, even if you miss, you should just probably remove your tank. If you were able to aim at it and you're able to roll a successful, load and aim or something, then you should probably just remove the enemy tank and the houses and terrain that are nearby. Because it's a big boy gun. Another tough bit to get to. But successfully managed. Cool, that was a bit tricky. Again, some nice sort of strikes and streaks and stuff at the bottom here. Making it look like it's got a bit more damage. directionally and in specific locations, make it really cool. Yeah. Oh, a bit heavy there. Wipe that away. Yeah, that looks cool. I like it. Right, you know, I just need a bit of a rest from that. My crikey. Panzer III turret on a tiger. I'll dig out some of my craters for you, Staff. Yeah, do you know, you're going to need something like that, I think. Right, let's if I reposition these clamps and maybe get a different part of the sponge in use, might get some different or better shapes and patterns from it. Let's just dip that into the paint there and there. We'll just dab that off. And we are, unfortunately, getting quite close to the end of the show. So, yeah, just a few minutes, we'll wrap up. If you want to join me over on Discord channel at Easy 8 After Party, you can. I'll be there for a little while, just finishing up today. Got another very early start tomorrow, so I'm going to be trying to get some early sleep today. But I will be on for a little bit if you want to come and have a chat. Go and show me what you've got. You're welcome to join me on the video chat if you want to. I'm in the middle of like a 10 or 11 day shift stint at work. It's all going very well at the moment. Oh, crikey, where's the paint coming from in this? There you go. Now what I think looks pretty good is if you soften up the edges that I've just been painting with the spongy bit. Makes it look particularly real. But because I've thinned that paint down, this goes a really long way. If I was to dab onto that orange now, it would look awful. So the trick is to get enough off that sponge, but not too much. There we go, it's looking pretty good. So right here, soften up those edges that I painted on. That looks pretty good. Some nice wear in the middle. Oh, too much. Make it look like it's been, you know, shot at or bashed into and stuff. I might go back to the other sponge, you know. I think I was actually having better effects with it. I think if I just took my time with that other sponge, it might be better. I'll just finish doing this little bit here with this sponge. There's a cat at my door, if you can hear scratching in the background. Stuff's got to go. Right, gentlemen, I'll be retiring for the evening. Good night. Night, mate. See you later on. Thank you very much for stopping by. Nice to see your face there. Your face, your name, you know what I mean. quite a thick line that's in there. So I'm definitely going to need to get a little bit of paint on the sponge. I'll just go in and see if I can soften that up. Just like that. Oh, actually, I've missed that edge a little bit there. That's a bit better. Yeah, that's good. And go in some heavy silver in there as well and make it look like it's just a particularly worn part. Nice, that's looking good. Enjoying the weathered look. You can definitely see now that that orange has been toned right down. I'm probably even going in a little bit heavy here. Maybe I'll try and go in a little bit lighter across the rest of the, the rest of him. So you still have his wear and whatever. Don't want to be too over the top. It's very easy to go very, very far. He says as he goes in and puts some more rust in there. But yeah, there we go. It's coming along. It's a good start. Good start indeed. Let's get rid of that foam. I don't think I'm having a great time with that foam. I thought it would be easier, but it is not. And we are now at the end of the show. Well, there you go. A good start. It's quite... I was concerned that it was going to take me a really long time to start getting through that weathering effect, but actually getting back into it quite quickly, which is great. Starting to lose my patience with it a little bit, I think mostly because I'm just really quite hot in the studio again. I could have the fan running, but I'm afraid that the microphone might pick it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some sound tests over the next week, see if the fan gets picked up on the microphone, which is going to lead me into summer quite well. If the fan's going to get picked up too much and it's too loud and too distracting, I might just switch back to my old microphone here so that I can remain cool and breezy in the studio. As you can see, I'm going quite pink and I'm quite close and flustered in here, and that will help me feel a little bit more calmer and stop rushing on the model, because there is no rush. I just like to kind of pick up my pace a little bit without sacrificing quality. It's quite an ask, I think, but I am really pleased with the progress. I want to dial it back a little bit, just a little bit, and then hopefully next week I'll be looking to have him nearly finished, I reckon. Got a bit of time off this week to spend a bit of time on him, but I've got quite a few house tasks and duties and things to do this week, things around the house, so I wonder how much time I'll be able to put into doing this model. I'm really enjoying it though, and I expect having the two of them is going to look like they're starting to look really, really cool. How awesome do they look side by side? That's the old one, that's the new one. Cool, huh? Anyway, there we go. If you've been working on the project this evening, I would love to have a look at it. So if you do fancy taking a picture, stick them over on Facebook. The link to Facebook is just down there. It wasn't working a little while ago, but you can just like type it in if you want to, if you're struggling. And if it's not working, I will endeavour to get those links working. For some reason, when I put those links in to YouTube, it just trims the edge off of them, the latter end, and they just don't seem to work. So if that's still happening, do let me know. I need to know to make sure that all my platforms are accessible by you guys. Of course, we're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Discord as well. One of the promises that I've made over the months is to get a bigger and more regular presence on Instagram, and for some reason I've been stricken with an apathy with Instagram. I don't know why, I've just been struggling to keep up with Insta. So one of my promises to you that over this week that I will start putting photographs of the projects that I've got on the table at the moment, of projects that I've done recently in the past, and get Instagram back up and running again, because we've had a few new followers over there. So if you're one of our followers from Instagram and you happen to be watching tonight, welcome. I hope you have a great time. I hope you're happy and well and whatever. And I'm sorry that it has been a while since I've done anything with it. I will do better, because Instagram is cool, right? For pictures of inspiration. Anyway, if you like what we do here, please do consider subscribing to the show, because every little bit really does help improve the community. It helps bring more people in. It makes me feel great about what I do, and the more people that we get, the more people it may share to. It surely should be an exponential thing. So let's see if we can get to 100 subscribers. We're just 4 away from 100 subscribers, and I couldn't be happier, couldn't be prouder. And yeah, it's just wonderful. I love having this show now. It's a part of the same thing. It's the same hobby for me nowadays, which is just great. Anyway, look at that. That's enough of that for this evening. Where am I? There I am. Yeah, it's been a great week. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you all guys next Friday, 7 till 9. Until then, keep on painting, stay kind, be safe, and I'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye. Really struggled with the words today. I think the heat's cooked my sentences.